Dr. Nicola Dellinger here. I wanted to share a lesson that I'm actually in the process of working with that's been a newer awareness for me, and I think that it's incredibly relevant. And then a couple of patients this week came in with a similar issue coming on, and so whenever that happens, I feel like it's part of that unity consciousness where it makes sense to share it. And that's around conflict. And when we get into conflict with somebody else, most of us, our natural reaction is to defend, is to blame, is to criticize, is to judge, and anything that our mind, our constructs can create in order to kind of keep whatever that pain or suffering or uncomfortable feeling is at bay. And so when we are in conflict with somebody, it's very rarely, if ever, about the other person. And I'm going to say that again. It's rarely, rarely, rarely about the other person that you're in conflict with. And what I mean is that when you're in conflict with somebody, the reason it feels stressful or angsty or makes you angry or sad or fearful is because it's touching something in you that maybe you're aware of, maybe that you've been aware of for a long, long time, or maybe it's something that you haven't ever been aware of. But it's an opportunity for you to show up and say, I'm willing to love myself even here. And am I willing to be with myself as this comes up, or I said this nasty thing, or I am afraid of whatever. So for me, when this conflict came up, once I was able to kind of calm, I had my emotional response, certainly, but then after a few moments, I was able to ask myself, and with the help of a friend too, what's this really about here? Oh, it's about my old stories about not being worthy or lovable or valuable or any of these things. And it's just another layer of that. And trust me, there have been a lot of layers of that in my life, especially since I've been on this more conscious journey to explore myself and be willing to love myself, yes, even then. And so for me, it became this really big invitation to love myself, even when I question my worth or doubt my value, and just not because of what I do or what I do for others or what I create, but simply for who I am. And that even if nobody else is willing to love me unconditionally and fiercely, that I am willing to do that for myself. And it really helped then going back into working things through with this other person, around seeing that person for, also being someone who's in the pain body and who is just expressing their wounding. And it just helped me to say, you know what, I have a choice here. I can meet you there in that energy of you're attacking me and I'm defending, and I'm going to prove to you that that's not what happened, or I'm going to logic, or defend, essentially, right? But we only defend ourselves in response to a perceived attack, right? So if there's a perceived threat, then there's going to be a defensive response. So if you start feeling defensive anywhere, anytime, anyhow, pause for a second and ask myself, what is the perceived threat here? What is the perceived attack? And once we start realizing that it's perceived attack versus feeling like we need to defend, then we can work with all of that in a really different way. And once I was able to see that I was defensive, and I deeply, deeply committed, I am not going to defend myself here. I'm not going to get into that, because it would be meeting the other person in the energy of, it would be meeting the other person in the energy of conflict, right? But when I was able to tend to myself and say, yes, yet again, I am willing to commit to loving me fiercely and unconditionally, everything kind of relaxed. And once I was able to show up and say, you know what, I don't know what's going to happen here, but whatever is going to happen here is going to be just fine. I'm actually in neutrality with it, because if I were to defend and maybe convince this other person of my way, then I'm just kind of pulling them back into what I want. It's a form of subtle manipulation, but it's still manipulated to get what I want. And what I really wanted was for this person to choose what I wanted from their own place. And so what that required of me was to step back and say, I will not defend, I will not convince, I will not engage on this level. I'm going to stay in a higher vibration and a higher frequency and hope that you will meet me here. I will not anymore meet you down here and perpetuate this conflict. And it doesn't mean to say that we didn't talk things through or clarify or that sort of thing. Some of that was happening, but I noticed if it started to feel defended, I actually stopped and got more quiet, which is very different for me. It's not my typical MO. And it really it hasn't resolved everything, but it's made the process a lot more tender and a lot more valuable to me, rather than this just being another conflict and a pain in the butt that I have to deal with. It's been a growth opportunity for me to say, yes, I will show up here again for you, me. And yes, I will not, compromise this higher place that I want to reside in by meeting someone down here. So my invitation to you is to look at any conflict that you might be having within yourself, with a partner, with friends, with family, children, parents, whatever, siblings, and just slow down and say, what is this bringing up for me? And am I willing to be with that? And it's usually a fear. It's usually a lack of self-worth and whatever flavor that comes up for you in. But most of us humans carry that. And the only antidote is more of you. So I'd love to hear your stories. I'd love to hear if this resonated for you. Please comment below or email me, and let's keep this dialogue going. Sending you much love and light. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.